I agree. And we are going to move on. We're going to stop at the WNBA.
Ooh, this is going to be a good one.
And we're going to
I
talk
want you to
about
go first,
Caitlyn
Leel.
Clark,
I want you to go first.
because, I mean, the whooping that she took. And I'm going to play, I believe I got the clip. I do want to play a clip as well. Let's see if I have that clip of the coach coming out and talking about it after the game, and then we'll proceed with the take. Obviously, last night, if we watched the highlights, she was getting roughed up. She was getting choked. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. So the WNBA suspends Alyssa Thomas for the Caitlyn Clark incident. And I'm going to give my thoughts to kick us off. And then Lee, by all means, when you talk about this situation, okay, it reminds me of George Floyd at that point. I mean, you look at, her having her fist on her throat. I mean, this is another George Floyd, RIP to George Floyd. Now, first things first, it was disgusting. Some of the behavior that I saw from these women last night. It was. Now, we have to be honest about something, Lee. Biologically, women are often jealous of other women. Way more than I think men are jealous of other men. And I'm not saying that to be sexist. I've heard women say the same thing. I mean, try being a married woman and bringing your husband around single friends, your single woman friends. It's probably not going to be a good idea. The reality is, Caitlyn Clark is the face of the WNBA and has popularized the sport to a degree. And you have women that are in the league that are jealous of her. They're jealous, and they're willing to take every shot they can at her. Obviously, in that game, she had 19 points, 8 assists in 20 minutes before leaving the game. And look, she has gotten more whistles from what I read out of any time in her career. I believe she's ranking 7th in the WNBA as far as free throw attempts per game, 6.1 free throw attempts per game. But last night was a microcosm of the inconsistencies when it comes to officiating, and that was on full display. So again, what the WNBA needs to do is take care of that officiating problem, because this is not only about protecting the face of the league, it's about consistency when it comes to officiating, and that's what we didn't see last night. Again, you have a bunch of women in the league that are jealous of her success. She globalized the WNBA, made it more popular in the States. Before the WNBA was a myth, and she came along in college, her rivalry with Angel Reese and Lee. That's the microcosm that I want to talk about, is that women tend to be jealous of other women.
Well,
Lee, I'll pass the mic to you.
I like your points, but let me say that. I'm a big WNBA fan. I watch a lot of the games, and I've watched it throughout the years, and a lot of people that have heard me talk about Caitlyn Clark, I try to come at it from a very real perspective, and sometimes people get frustrated on it, but I'm gonna break it down for your audience. Look, Caitlyn Clark, first of all, brought in some different eyes on the WNBA that would have never came in to the league. Now, the league has always been a great league. It's always had great players, but she brought in different eyes coming from Iowa, the run that she had, her popularity coming into the league. So different eyes, more eyes came on it. Immediate jump in TV ratings and attendance, because everybody thought that she was going to come in and she was going to be this ultra dominant player, not just a good player, but ultimate dominant player from the way she dominated in college. And so that's the story of Caitlyn Clark and how her persona when she came into the league was. Now, you say a lot of these women are jealous. I don't think it's jealousy. What I do think it is, Leel, is if you've ever competed in sports, and when someone comes and they say, that's the top dog, that's the person, this is the one, right? You're going to compete your ass off to prove to that person and anybody else that said that, no, she ain't all that.
Lee,
I'm better.
Lee, is a hand, is a fist down her throat. Is that competing, or is that something else?
I saw the game last night. I watched the game last night. And let me say this. When you go back and you watch these games, Caitlyn Clark gives much better as far as talking smack, physical play than she gets. She gives us just as much. So people don't talk about that because she's sort of the darling, supposedly, of the league. Now, that play last night. Now, it deserved a flagrant one because when Caitlyn fell and Alyssa Thomas she was off balance as well. She fell on her, but she did put her fist down in her neck. Now, she didn't hit her. She didn't go and punch her in her neck, but her fist was in the neck, and she deserved a flagrant one. She didn't get it. I'm glad they upgraded. I don't know about the suspension, Leel, because last year I saw a girl pull Angel Reese down by her hair, and she got a flagrant foul, but she didn't get suspended. So the officiating sometimes in the WNBA is off. It really is. They let them play very physical, and a physical game against Caitlyn Clark doesn't accentuate her skill set. And that's sort of what some of the people that be complaining so much about. But let me say this, Leel, before I turn it back over to you. When you look at the WNBA, the best player in the WNBA is A'ja Wilson, hands down, right? Hands down. And then you have your stars that come in pecking order of her. You think about the Olivia Miles point guard that just came into the league for Minnesota. Tremendous talent. Going to take over the league. You think about Juju Smith coming. There are ladies in high school right now that are ducking off 2 feet. The WNBA is in great, great shape. And it's not really dependent on Caitlyn Clark. If you look at last year when Caitlyn Clark was hurt, still ratings were good. Buildings were sold out. You got 2 additional franchises this year. You got 2 more coming. They're going to 50 games. That's not all because of Caitlyn Clark. That's a fallacy. But what I will say is, yeah, they play her physical because that's the way you get her out of her game. They look for her defensively. They go at her defensively, and they play her physical. If you let her have free reign to shoot the ball, she's an excellent shooter. And I'm going to say this. Caitlyn Clark is not she's a very, very good player. Ultimate superstar? No, but a very, very good player. And so she deserved the flagrant foul upgrade, but I don't want it to seem like, when they show the pictures, it's like they show only the part where her hand is down. They didn't see her fall on top of her. They didn't see that. But if you've watched these games and you've seen Caitlyn Clark and how Caitlyn Clark play and how much smack she talks, then you would say this stuff is on even par, and you would have a different perspective as I do. I like Caitlyn. I enjoy watching her play, but come on, guys. If you really know basketball, LaShawn McCoy today, and then I'm going to turn it back over to you, said, Caitlyn Clark should just leave and see what the WNBA, something to that effect. I guarantee you LaShawn McCoy don't watch WNBA basketball because it's a league of talented women that can play the game, and the league is ascending. That's why they got the new CBA, not just because of Caitlyn Clark, because they have great talent that is ascending, that is a viable entertainment in the summertime. And so that's my take on the whole situation.
I mean, look, one of the reasons why it's more popular today is because of Caitlyn Clark. Now, maybe everybody else but it's more popular today because of the eyes that she brought to the game, and we cannot underestimate that. We cannot sit here with a straight face, because I didn't care about the WNBA until I heard about Caitlyn Clark. Point blank, period. People have been trying to get me to watch that for years. I still don't watch it consistently, but I watch a little bit of it because she's the one that really opened my eyes to watch it.
She piqued your interest, Leel. She piqued your interest because you heard all the hype. But when you watch the games, the few games that you've watched her play, right?
I mean, she's not dominant. Clearly, she's not dominant. She's a very good player, but she's not dominant. But it's not even only about dominant. You see, Steph Curry. You want to compare her to Steph Curry, right? That's a fair comparison. Steph Curry wasn't dominant. He was a very good player before he won the championships, but he became the face of the league right before he took the Warriors to the championship. He wasn't dominant, though. It was when he won the championships that he became a dominant player.
Yeah,
So again,
well, he was hurt a lot.
He was hurt. Exactly. He was hurt a lot. He wasn't a good defender at that time. So people was able to be physical with him a little bit, but obviously you get away with a lot more clearly in the WNBA. You could knock people out. It seemed like it choke people out. Clearly the NBA, you could get, you can't get away with as much. But Steph Curry, he worked his way up to being a dominant player. So yeah, Caitlyn Clark is not dominant, but she's still box office in ways that Steph Curry was box office.
She's a very good player. She's not the best player on our team. I've said that for over a year now, Kelsey.
Now, I would say this. I do believe that one of the things that this highlights is the fact that officiating should be more consistent. I'm not saying that the game has to be tailored to save her or whatever, right? Because we're not doing the pampering nonsense, right? So it's not about her getting Mahomes-like calls or her getting SGA calls. It's about the game being called more consistently. And what I saw from all the technicals, about 6 technicals, there could have been more technicals that was given in that game. Clearly, this should have been a flagrant 2 to begin with. But at the end of the day, with that being said, it still was poor officiating and clearly still activities that I thought should have happened a thing.
Yeah, they got the officiating is a problem in the league because it's not consistent. It's not consistent, and that leads to stuff like this. Leel, it's not consistent, and they need to do something about the officiating. But I just don't. You saw it all over the sports media shows, and it was like, oh, these ladies are beating up on Caitlyn Clark. No, you have to watch the games. You have to watch the games. You have to watch Caitlyn Clark doing these games and what she does. And I
mean, let's be real. And this is from my outsider looking in, because again, I'm not no WNBA aficionado. I barely watch the WNBA, and I can be honest about that. But based off of what I hear, when it comes to the media and the narratives, there is a narrative, especially with the Angel Reese and Caitlyn Clark rivalry, that they always do this with everything. Put race into the picture here, right? And you have people that was siding with Caitlyn Clark because she's white, and there's people that was siding with Angel Reese because she's black. And again, that works to and against, and they doing that here. Even I was listening to WFAN in the car on my way to work, and I'm listening to Boomer, and he mentions white girl. What does white girl has to do with anything? It doesn't. This is not a race issue. All right. Now it's fair to question and come at the behavior of these women, because clearly, listen, this is a fight in the park. So you do this in a local park outside.
But Leel, let me say this. Last year, when the girl pulled Angel Reese down by her hair as she was going up and she yanked it down by the hair, I bet you Boomer didn't say anything about that.
Yeah, because on both sides, people make it about race.
Yeah.
That's why I don't debate race when it comes to sports. I don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't do it. That's why I don't play the race game. Either way, I don't play it at all. Because if you watch the game,
people look at it as the poor white young lady, and I like Caitlyn Clark. So I'm going to say this as a person that enjoys the sport and watches the sport often. The poor white girl getting beat up by all these black ladies, and that's just not the case when you watch her play. And so these people, when they look at sound bites or highlights, they make snap judgment opinions on it, and it's just not the reality of it. Now, again, you make a great point about the officiating, because officiating to me is subpar. It's bad because there's no consistency in it. But to say that she's getting beat up and led with that, that's disingenuous at best, because she gives as good as she gets.
Again, if that happened in the park to the regular average human being, there's more than likely, if you're in the hood, it's probably going to be a shootout. All right, forget about a fight. They not fighting no more, Lee. They don't want to get jumped in front of millions of people on social media, so they pulling out the blicky. It's a wrap. So I'll just leave it there. Again, Caitlyn Clark has got me interested in the WNBA.
I tell you, you should watch more games.
No, I am. I'm interested in the sport now.
Let me say this. With the WNBA, now you're not going to see them play above the rim, even though there are players, like I said, in the high school level, young ladies that are dunking off of 2 feet that are coming. The unfortunate thing about the WNBA draft, you have to play 4 years removed from high school. That's ridiculous. They should let these young ladies do just like the NBA and come after 1 year or straight to the WNBA, because players like Juju Watkins would be in the league already. But watch it. It's not a high-flying game, but skill, shooting. It's a very physical game. Very good to watch. I enjoy it, especially during this time where you have a break between the NBA playoffs and NFL training camp and NFL season started. It's great entertainment.
Anything is better than baseball and soccer. I'm gonna just leave it like that.
Baseball. I like baseball.
I can get jiggy with the WNBA. Yeah. As a matter of fact, to a certain extent, although what I saw last night again, I thought was too much, shouldn't have happened. It kind of got me intrigued because the NBA is soft, right? And I do complain about the NBA being soft a lot. Now I am curious, so like I said, I am gonna watch it more, and you can count me in. You can count me in. Thanks to Caitlyn Clark, by the way. Okay, thanks to Mrs. White Girl. He says we want to put a race on it for getting me into the WNBA. And anyway, we're gonna move on. Speaking of women, we are gonna talk about this JP, not P Morgan, JP Morgan. We'll get that fixed. JP Morgan Chase, senior executive, who stole a Knicks trash bin during the Knicks parade, had to act out in the Knicks parade. What does this situation say about DEI, if anything? Lee, I know this is going to get feisty. We saved the best.
It's going to get feisty. I'm glad it's the last topic.
And you know what? I like to end like that. I like to end like that. Know what I mean?
I don't.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the clip. And then we'll take it from there. So let's find that clip. Social media, not social media, technology people, bear with me. We're going to get that clip right now in the next 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Pointless. All that trash that's on that floor. Let's run the clip back. Now, Lee, I'll give you time to get it together, brother. I'm gonna take the mic, right? I'm gonna give you the chance to rebuttal, and I'm gonna go ahead with this one. Now, for me, I want to talk about my experience firstly, before I even touch this topic. I happened to, when I graduated high school, and this was, matter of fact, this wasn't even when I graduated high school. This was my junior year of high school. I was actually going into my senior year, and I was applying to college early and do a college program at Berkeley College. I didn't go to Berkeley College, but I did, you know, at the time I thought I was going to end up going there. I chose not to, but they had a bridge program, right? And I did it in my summer of my junior year, going into my senior year of high school. And it was actually a bridge program that had us going to JP Morgan Chase physically, you know, at the place, at the headquarters and whatnot in the city. And I'll never forget when I got there. Listen, I've been around, you know, a lot of people all in my life, right? Chinese, obviously, you know, other people as well. Been around white people as well. But when I got to JP Morgan Chase, there was a different type of white people that I saw. These people were white. Now, there's a difference, right? Because when you are around white people, you know that there's different types of white people. You know, there's the white people that, you know, may act black, and then there's the white people. You know what I'm saying? Like JP Morgan got the white people. All right? Let's just leave it like that. All right, I ain't see any black person there that I could remember. All right, I was probably the only black person there. And I remember when we was at the table and we had some of the higher ups talking about JP Morgan and whatnot. I felt like everybody was watching me, you know, and mind you, I was sleepy that day. I had to wake up early. So, you know, I was dozing off like Sleepy Joe, you know, and whatnot. I had to, you know, tell myself to wake up. I went there one day, never went back. I was like, nah, it's a wrap. It's not my thing. I say that to say, when you talk about DEI must DIE. It must go. It must die. It's done. It's a wrap. I want to pull up this woman's resume because I speak for the average American. All right. I'm not one of these people that I lose where I came from. All right? I'm just like everybody else. I work a 9 to 5. I go to work and I go home and I look for even better jobs. That's what I do. Okay. Salute to the job that I'm working at right now. But I just got to keep it a bean. All right. We looking for more moolah. All right. Show me the money. All right, Lee, I'm going to pull up this resume. All right. We about to talk. All right. I hope we can see it. Clearly, it's not blowing up enough. But this is her resume, right? For those who got the really good eyes. I don't have the really good eyes. I have good eyes, not really good eyes. I can't see this. All right. Stevie Wonder can't either. This woman has an associate's degree. That's the top level of education she has. Mind you, there are people out here with master's degrees that is out here struggling that is getting denied by Starbucks. People with master's degrees, okay? They price themselves out. They overqualified. And this woman has an associate's degree, making $250,000 a year as a base salary. This doesn't include bonuses that she makes that probably could make her worth $300K a year potentially, right? $250K base salary, and she was hired as a DEI person.
How do you know that, Leel? How do you know she's hired as a DEI person?
Who qualified, who worked their ass off, who went to college, who spent money, took out loans, you know, master's degree and all that, still paying off the loans to this day. Can't even get a job at McDonald's. And you have this woman who looked like a fat slob out here at a daggone Knicks parade, taking trash out in the street like she don't give a care in the world. This is the problem that I have with DEI. Because at the end of the day, it should be about merit, Lee. It should be about merit, Lee.
How does this, you're so funny. I love debate with you. How is it that, how does DEI come into play with this young lady?
Oh, it definitely comes into play.
How does it come into play?
She was a DEI hire.
How do you know that?
That's what she was. That's what they said. She was a DEI hire.
They said don't mean anything.
She has first of all, she has an associate's degree, bro. Okay,
what was the qualification for her job?
Listen, I'm sure it wasn't a daggone associate's degree, but she probably got hired as a DEI. That's clearly evidence of it.
You're making a lot of assumptions, though. You can't make those assumptions. You don't know what her qualifications were. You don't know that. And again, I've always said this about DEI, and whatever you want to say is DEI doesn't mean you're not qualified, Leel. That doesn't mean, it never has meant that. You don't hire unqualified people. You have to meet qualifications. When people say he's a DEI,
I get that part. I get that part of it. But just because it's a quota that you're trying to make, that's not fair to the average person. Because at the end of the day, you know who's getting left out of this? Black men. DEI was not meant, and look, I'm gonna get real deep, and some people may be able to understand, some people may not. DEI wasn't created for fairness. DEI was created to stop the nuclear family. That's what it was created for. I mean, look at JP Morgan's numbers, right? We're talking about JP Morgan. If we look at the stats, and Lee, you a stat man, guess what? I bought you a Christmas gift. Stats, all right? 52% of the global workforce at JP Morgan Chase is women. Black women make up 6 to 10% of it. Guess what? Black men, 4 to 5%.
Okay.
According to JP Morgan Chase,
so what does that
1 in 4 out of black women out-earn their husbands. So, again, but DEI is not benefiting black men.
Stop. Right. It's not benefiting black men. Is to your point, since you brought the numbers in for analytics purposes, is not benefiting black people at all. Black women, black men, they're only at on average.
I agree with that. I agree with that to an extent. Yeah, I agree with that.
When we talk about DEI, what we're talking about is not necessarily giving anybody anything. It's about making sure the same way when there were only, like the SEC was lily white, with only white, but giving the black athlete an opportunity to play, giving black workers an opportunity to be seen and hired that are just as qualified, that have just as much skill. That's what DEI was meant to do, and I think that's what it did. Now, some people use it to say, okay, DEI. Like I was making an example of a pilot that flies a plane. Some white people say when they go on a plane and they see a black pilot, they think, you know, take a second look. Why? I bet you get from point.
I can understand it though. I can understand it not from a black man perspective, but I can understand it from, let's say, for example, a woman perspective, right? Let's say you see a woman. I can understand that. Lee, maybe call me all the names you want. I can understand that from a.
You can understand what? You can understand what?
a pilot woman, and you'd be like, okay,
with instruments. You're not flying. You don't have to pick the plane up. You don't have to do anything very physical.
If you have to land the plane on the Hudson River like that dude had to do 5-7 years ago, do you trust a woman to do that, bro?
Absolutely.
Let's be honest. Let's stop trying to be nice.
No, I'm not. I absolutely do, because you're not to fly a plane, Leel. You don't need. It's about the instruments and understanding the instruments and how to fly. It has nothing to do with gender. It has nothing to do with that.
I mean, you seen videos. You seen when that Trump assassination attempt happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. They had a woman, agent that was supposed to protect him. She couldn't even get the daggone gun out the coaster. I mean, come on, bro.
That has nothing to do with anything.
I mean, and I bet you she was DEI too.
Leel, I was in the military. And when we went to the range, there were women that were sharpshooters and expert shooters, and there were other males that was marksmen. It happens. It's across gender. It's funny, but
yeah, blame the Democrats for that. Making men more feminine. Thank you. Tampons in boys' bathrooms.
This person was an idiot. If you want to say anything about this person and the trash can issue, that was an idiot. Now, wasn't the smartest person in the world. I could see if you put the trash somewhere else and you dumped it, Leel. You dumped it right on the street in broad daylight. That's stupid. You played yourself.
This exposes,
as Ice-T would say.
It exposes DEI. We already beat that drum. It also exposes how some people are out of touch with reality. Because guess what? You dump all that trash on the concrete. Who got to clean it up? The working man.
Yeah.
Because guess what? And look, this is not all situations here, right? Because I work at a trade school. You know where I work, Lee. I work at a trade school, and they are more women getting into trades, doing the trades and whatnot. Obviously, it is a male-dominated field.
And they do it very well. I trained them.
I enrolled them. Into the school. So they are more women that are doing the hard labor jobs as well, as opposed to yesteryear, right? So I would say this. It's not only the hard-working men got to clean that up. It could be the hard-working woman that's, a sanitation worker that got to clean that up. So I want to preference that and make that clear. But the hard-working person has to clean that up. That's how out of touch she is. She is making $250K a year, and she doesn't care that somebody that's not even making double or less than double than what she's making got to clean that up. That's how out of touch she is. Lee, there's times where I have a drink that I'm eating while I'm driving, right? I'm pretty sure have you ever eaten and drive at the same time?
I don't do that.
Well, me, maybe I'm more ambitious than you, right? I've definitely
drove. I've taken a bite of food while I was driving.
Yeah, come on, Lee, be honest, bro.
Be honest here, man. I don't make it a habit, but I've taken a bite of food. Absolutely.
Yeah. I do it all the time. I'm chowing down. I'm chowing down on the food, and I'm drinking. And there's times where I'm like, you know what? I want to throw this out. I want to throw this out the window. I'm done. I want to throw the bag out. I want to throw the glass out. But guess what? I say to myself, you know what, Leel? Somebody got to clean that up. And it ain't going to be me. But somebody got to clean it up. And for her to be so out of touch with reality, to take that trash can and dump all that trash, to bring that trash can home for whatever reason, right? What are we doing here? Yeah. And then another thing it exposes, and this is why a lot of people are angry. And I can understand this. Because guess what? If you are somebody in this generation that is still finding your career, Lee, I know you've been on a couple job interviews yourself, so maybe you can attest to this as well. Even for a guy like me that has a lot of sales experience, right? I pretty much, I can get a job. It's not as easy, but I can finagle something, right? The last job I left, I was able to find one and get an offer a week and a half later. Yeah. But a lot of people's reality is not that at all. Absolutely. And I've been there because a couple years ago, that was me too. Absolutely. Before I built my experiences and whatnot, bro, I went months without a job. I know how it is. And to see somebody with an associate's degree getting that type of job, right? And it's just like, yo, really? It exposes the job market because what are we doing here? Who's making these calls? And that's why another reason why I hate DEI, and sure, we could say, Lil, maybe you out of touch comparing this and connecting this with DEI. I'm using this as a springboard to talk about that because clearly you feel that you're at a disadvantage because at the end of the day, DEI is not helping me. It's not helping the black person, the black man, the black woman. It may help a black woman before the black man because, again, I think DEI was meant to take the black man out of positions of leadership in the house. That's what I think it is for.
I disagree with that, but hey, that's your opinion.
I think that's one of the reasons. Listen, we all Lee. All right, DEI side. Do you believe that there's an ongoing effort from the government in general, forget DEI, right? In general, to take the black man away from the top of the house, to make him obsolete, to divide the family?
I agree with that. I agree. That was a concerted effort over many years to do that. That's how you destroy the black family if you take the black male out.
And it's been done. And it's been done successfully, right? Unfortunately, I have to say that. I have to be honest. It has been done successfully, right? I'm going to be honest with you. Lee, I'm going to be real. I'm going to be real here. It's the Real Lil Show. The black community in America is screwed, bro. All right, you got babies out of wedlock. You got men and women talking about each other, separating. Oh, men is this and women is that. There's a separation. There's a disconnect. To be honest with you, I don't really think there's much culture to really hold us together. We don't have the economics that we need to. We don't have the businesses to thrive in the community. Anytime somebody black try to be brave and ambitious, somebody else that's black is looking at him, don't want to support him. It's unfortunate, right? And DEI does not help because it's not meant for the black man to be successful. And if you believe that there is a plot to make black men obsolete, then DEI is not going to help it.
I don't think I don't think DEI is part of that, Leel. I really don't. I think there has been over the years that those efforts. I certainly don't think DEI was part of that. I don't. I will say this: the black dollar is so important, and it's so much of the reason why some of the ills that are hurting the black communities out there. Look, the black dollar is like $17 trillion, right, in this country. It's higher. It would be it's a separate country by themselves and probably in the top 25 of all the countries in the world. It's about how we unite, because we could have our own black banks, we could have our own this and that or the other. We just need to unite. So, but I don't, and I know we're getting long on this, but I don't group DEI in some of the ills that are hurting the African American community. I just don't do that. But it's been a great topic. I enjoy it.
I think DEI is hurting a lot of people because I do think a lot of people are affected by it. At the end of the day, like Martin Luther King said, obviously judge me, from the content of my character, not by the color of my skin. Absolutely. And that goes for all facets. We can't just take a word in a line and use it in the way that we want to use it. No, that line should be a broad line and it should be applicable to all facets of life. Do not judge me by my skin color. Don't judge me because I'm black. Don't judge me because I'm white. Don't judge me because this and that. Judge me by, guess what? This is my resume. This is what I'm bringing to the table. Judge me because of this. All right.
Leel, do you think that happens in every circumstance?
It doesn't, and that's the unfortunate
part. So if it doesn't, unfortunately, it doesn't. Solution? Even in the front, let's get it back to sports. When you look in the WNBA, when you start watching it, you will see the ills of not many African American coaches. When you look in the NFL this year about the African American coaches, when you look around college football, and you talk about not that many African American coaches, what do? Do we say, okay, it's all right because we have African American players, that we don't need African American coaches? So you look at their resumes and they have done as much and probably more. Why aren't they being hired? That's because of exposure. That's because of the good old boy
exposure
network.
is the key.
Those are a lot of things that cause this stuff. And so we need programs to put people in front of people. I don't need you, and then I'm going to turn it over so we can end the show. I don't need you in my profession to give me anything. What I do need is access and exposure. And if you give me access and exposure, then I'll take it from there.
And we had this debate
DEI
before
did for the
about the NFL when it came to DEI, which is basically what the Rooney Rule is. It's basically DEI, right? Just
they haven't used it in the spirit that it was. Now they're just using it as to check a box off, and that's not.
And that's my point. When you use Rooney Rule, in DEI, whatever, sure, it could work to your benefit if you are one of those people. Again, I think DEI works more for women than any other demographic. But if it works for women and that's what we want, then okay, fine, it's doing its job. But if we're talking about inclusion of everybody, right? Who is the one that's struggling the most in America statistically when it comes to labor? When it comes to corporate America, the black man.
Yeah,
clear.
I agree with that.
So at the end of the day, what have we accomplished?
That's across all genres. That's across all genres.
So at the end of the day, what's the point? And at the end of the day, to be honest with you, the way how I see it, and maybe I'm just old-fashioned conservative, I believe that the men are supposed to lead the household. But obviously, we live in a different time. We live in a different America. You accept it for what it is. You move on. You adapt. Whatever. Cool. But when it comes to the NFL and the Rooney Rule, that joint wastes people's time. Brian Flores, he dropped the lawsuit. Guess what? He went on the interviews. He got put in front of those people. And guess what he said when he went on those interviews? The owner of Denver, the quarterback, John Elway, was drunk, was laughing, didn't take him seriously. You know, he had his time wasted. It's in the lawsuit. He sued the NFL because of that. So at the end of the day, he wasted his time. Hiring comes from access. And how do you get access? You be in the locker rooms. You know, you're a defensive coordinator. You're an OC. That's where the access comes from.
For owners, Leel, and for owners, you have to be even further than that. You have to be in their circle. You have to be in where the owners are. And a lot of these billionaire owners who you need to get to know and you need to talk with and you need to be in their circle, they don't run in the same circles that a lot of African men. That's why access is so important to getting African American coaches on the college level too, because they're not involved on the same level in the same room, so they can talk about the same thing. So that's why
thing can be said about where corporate America in general is. You know, the access is not there. I don't think DEI helps with that. Again, it doesn't help the target that needs it the most. I do believe it's definitely effective for women. So again, it depending on how you look at it, it could be effective, right? If you look at it from a different perspective, it's not effective, right? And obviously, to put a bow to this topic, again, as a Knicks fan, I hate to see this. It makes no sense. I am walking in the conundrum because she is a Knicks fan, and again, I look at my Knicks fans as my brothers and sisters and whatnot. But yeah, she had to get the works for me. She had to get the flame thrown at her because this was idiotic.
It goes, and my final thing on this is: look, when you work for a high-profile company, and that's any company across the board, any company. With the advent of social media and a lot of things, and the iPhone and the phones with cameras, you're always a representation of those companies, Leel. And so what you do on your downtime, and as I talk to people that I employ and work with, you have to understand this. What you do on your downtime is still a reflection of that company. And when people found out she was with JP Morgan Chase and she was dumping trash on the sideline on the third and had no regard for what she was doing, hey, that's the result. And that's unfortunate, but that's the result of what happened.
Yeah, I mean, maybe JP Morgan Chase needs to reevaluate who they're hiring because they literally had a sex scandal, a woman that was fired for a sex scandal going on over there. I don't know. Maybe they need to reevaluate where they're looking at. But like I said, I've been to JP Morgan Chase. I've been in those headquarters before, a bridge program that I did prior to me entering my senior year of high school. And what I saw was the widest people you will ever see. Well, literally.
It is what it is with that. It's just that people, to me, on this topic, people have to understand they're always, if you're a public figure and you work for a public organization, you're always in the public eye. And what you do matters. That's how I would end this topic. What you do matters.
Sports, politics, conspiracy theories, We are here to give you our unique perspectives on things happening in the world. It's the one and only, The Real Leel on The Real Leel Show.